Here's the kicker. You can't go buying ribeyes down to around $200 a month, give or take, per pound of fat, which is around $6. We have to do some math here, and this is the way it works out. This is like, for me, like the optimal approach, right? I wanted to talk about how to save money on food costs. And as crazy as it sounds, I think one of the most cost-effective methods to save money on food is gonna be going on a carnivore diet. Here's the kicker. You can't go buying ribeyes and New York strips and getting all these beautiful cuts of Wagyu beef. That's gonna crush your budget. But if you wanna eat the cheapest possible, most nutrient-dense diet, arguably one of the most healthy diets you could possibly consume, the carnivore diet, when constructed well, and how I'm gonna break it down for you, is gonna give you a tremendous amount of opportunity to basically get your food budget down to around $200 a month, give or take. Now, here's another big piece of this. You have to learn about getting access to fat trimmings, suet, raw fat sources from your local butcher, from your farmers markets, from suppliers like White Oak Pastures or US Wellness Meats are gonna be hugely valuable for you, because the cost of fat to the caloric intake and the nutritional density of it when you're on a carnivore diet and you're operating on the keto carnivore aspect is gonna be like next to nothing. You're getting fat in these cases for like $6, $7 a pound, and you're getting a tremendous amount of calories, 450 grams per pound of fat, which is around $6. And for every gram of fat that you consume, you're getting around 9 calories. So for a person like me, at around 160 pounds, consuming around 22 to 2,400 calories a day, in this case, we're gonna do simple math here, I'm gonna break it all down. I can eat a carnivore diet for around $200 a month. Now I mix it up and I add in cuts of meats, and when I go out to eat, that adds up my cost. But if I wanted to just get really, really dialed and save as much money as possible, I could absolutely do this diet on around $200 a month. So let's dive into the specifics of it and see what we can find. So I wrote down a bunch of stuff that I wanna go over with this. If you're trying to save money and get the cheapest diet, I really think carnivore is probably up there, and it's definitely gonna cover your bases in terms of vitamins, nutrients, macronutrients, everything you need. So everything that I did, for the most part, you can get from a Walmart supermarket or a Whole Foods. And here's how I'm kind of looking at this and how I'm gonna approach this. I'm gonna say, for simplicity, our meat cost, our kind of protein cost, is around $10 a pound. And I'm gonna say our fat cost is around $7 a pound. So it might be actually slightly lower than that, but I'm gonna err on the side of kind of the top end, and I'm gonna break this down for you. So I've been on the carnivore diet for 16 months, and I've done the math, and this absolutely can work. As you become more savvy, you go to your local markets, you get in touch with your local butcher, maybe you go hunting, you can find ways to get even lower cost meats than this. But for our purposes, let's roll through this. Let's talk about the specifics, the kind of the main things here, right? I did a video on macro tracking, which we'll link up here, that you can go reference if you want. Basically, if you download the program MyFitnessPal to your iPhone or your Android device, you can put in your weight, your body weight, you can put in your height, your body composition, your goals. It will calculate for you how many calories. For this, we're gonna say that you're gonna consume 2,500 calories a day, and that's pretty ample amounts of energy for most people. We're gonna just say that for easy math and kind of break that down. We're gonna say that you're doing a 70% fat, 30% protein diet. That's pretty moderate. It is ketogenic, but at the same time, it's not like overboard with going like super high ketogenic where you might be 90% fat. So 30% protein is gonna be around, for me, at 155, 160 pounds, around 150 to 170 grams of protein. And so it's gonna break out that way. So let's look at this even further. If we have 2,500 calories a day that we're gonna consume, and 70% of those are gonna come from fats, 30% are gonna come from protein, and we know there's 9 calories per gram of fat, and there's 4 calories per gram of protein. On top of that, we're gonna do roughly 60% of our calories for kind of like a mid-morning late breakfast, if you will, and then 40% at dinner. This is like, for me, like the optimal approach, right? You have a pretty big break in your fast in the morning, but it's later in the morning. It's like 10:30 or 11 for me when I get up at 7 and work until I get to kind of when I want to first eat. And then you have a dinner that's a little bit lighter, which also supports sleeping and doesn't weigh you down as much, and in general is just more optimal. So if you're doing 60% of your calories on a 2,500 calorie a day caloric budget, then that means you're going to be consuming roughly 1,500 calories for breakfast and 1,000 for dinner. So you have 1,500 calories for breakfast and the other remaining 1,000 to equal 2,500 for your dinner. That's what you need to budget, right? That's what you want to achieve. As far as your fat to protein breakdown, remember, we're doing 70% fat, 30% protein from calories. So we have to do some math here, and this is the way it works out. So for breakfast, we have 70% of the 1,500 calories, 70% of 1,500 calories, which is gonna be 1,050 calories coming from fat. So we have 1,050 calories of fat at 9 calories per gram of fat. That's about 116.5 grams of fat. Now there's 453 grams in a pound. And so it works out to about a quarter pound of basically raw fat that we would eat. And so a quarter pound of raw fat, beef fat, pork fat, a very conservative estimate of that, grass-fed, grass-finished, would be around $7 a pound. And so when you take $7 and you take a quarter of $7 pound of fat, you're at $1.75 for your breakfast cost. The remaining amount of calories we're gonna get is from our protein. We have about 450 of the remaining 1,500 calories because we did 1,050 in fat. So the 450 calories that we have that we need to get from protein, remember, there's 4 calories per gram of protein. So when you factor that in, you're at about 112 grams of protein for that breakfast. So you had 116.5 grams of fat, which is a quarter pound of fat, and about 112 grams of protein, which again, both of these are about a quarter pound. You have a quarter pound of meat and a quarter pound of fat. Now again, I'm basically estimating you're gonna get $10 cuts. If you go to Walmart or Whole Foods, you can find grass-fed cuts of meat for under $10 a pound, absolutely. And they're very lean protein, shank, chuck roast, brisket. Brisket's a little tough, but you can find cuts of meat for $10 a pound. It's not super, super hard. You can also mix that up if you're gonna do other meats like chicken or turkey or pork. And so again, if you have a quarter pound of protein, then that is gonna work out at $10 a pound to $2.50, right? So we are at $1.75 for our fat and $2.50 for our protein for our breakfast. That is 1,500 calories. This is 70% fat, 30% protein. That is a total whopping $4.25. Not bad, right? So moving on to dinner. Again, 2 meals a day is kind of where I roll. Obviously, some people are gonna eat more, eat less, whatever. The point here I'm trying to make is I'm really just breaking this down. The dinner is gonna be 1,000 calories. So if we look at the dinner, we have 70%, 700 of the 1,000 from fat and 300 from protein, 30%. 700 fat calories, there's 9 calories per gram. That means we have 78 grams of fat in our dinner. There's 453.4 grams, I believe, exactly, 453.6 grams of weight per pound. So it's about 0.17 pounds of fat at dinner, which is about $1.20 when you multiply that by $7, right? We're at under a fifth of $7 in terms of pounds and $7 pound. So $1.20 for our fat cost for our dinner, and we have 300 calories for the protein that we need to achieve for dinner at 30% protein, and we have 4 calories per gram of protein, which is 75 grams of protein. Again, 453.6 grams per pound is roughly 0.165 pounds times $10 is $1.65. So what do we have? We have $1.65 and $1.20. I'm rounding a bit here, but the main point is that totals $2.85. If you take that and you add that to the $4.25 we had for breakfast, you get a total of $7.10 a day for a carnivore diet that is 30% protein, 70% fat. An average 30-day month gets you to $213. Now, some tips. If you want to get beef, I highly recommend high quality grass-finished, grass-fed chuck roast. You can get that at Whole Foods. Usually it runs usually $9 a pound is what I find it at. If you want to get organs, they also sell liver at Whole Foods, and you can get liver for usually $6 a pound, grass-fed. And again, this is all protein. So for the most part, the chuck roast is also gonna be fairly protein heavy. There's gonna be some fat in there, so you're gonna have some nuances there if you actually weigh it and measure it out. And I would probably factor in another $25 because you're just gonna eat more from time to time. Maybe some days you'll eat less. I know some people who fast regularly, go for one meal on certain days. It really helps them metabolically reset. Again, this video is more about just how do you save money, how do you get the cheapest diet, and what does a carnivore diet really cost? And for me, I think getting the beef, ground beef is another option. If you have high quality ground beef, just be careful with the rendered fat. When beef melts and cooks out, the liquefied fat, if you consume a lot of that, that can be causing of gut issues for people. You can make jerky out of a lot of your meats. The other thing you can do is you can look at butchers' selections, and a lot of places like the Walmart health food section of their butcher section is gonna have the chuck roast, the shank, the brisket, and all those are gonna be like $9, $7, $8, $10 a pound tops. That's where you're gonna find those. The last thing I'll mention is if you have local farmers markets, you can find deals and you can work with those farmers and get better deals by buying in bulk. That's oftentimes what I do when I go, and I will eye up certain nutrients and organs like kidney and sweetbread, and I will usually get a deal because I'll just become friends with the farmer and they're always all about it. So hope that helps. If you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment. Let me know how you operate on the diet, on a budget, how you do your best budget diet. Again, this is about constructing a very well-constructed, complete nutrient-dense diet. I don't think you can do it any other way. I really don't think anything can beat the carnivore on that respect, but I'd love to hear it in the comments. Thanks for watching, and let's get optimized.